Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sending the Wolf. My name is Clarke Wolfe. It's so nice to see you again. I'm a little off center. Oh, please forgive me. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone had a really nice weekend and everyone's day and week is off to a great start. I'm being casual today. It's feels like a sweatshirt and jeans kind of day, even though it is sunny. It was rainy and chilly all weekend. And so I'm still in the comfy cozy vibe. So as always, please feel free to say hello in the chat. You are always welcome to lurk. Hi King, how are you? Great to see you, King Sport Cal. Hi Mirror Domains, good to see you. Hi another Mr. Lizard. Great to see you. Welcome as always. Um, so I see your question. I see hi Colibre, great to see you. Mirror Domains asked about Abigail. It is a Stranger Things shirt. Mike, hello. It says Hawkins AV Club. Hi, Steven. Here, let's see if I can lift myself up. Hawkins AV Club. I was just saying that it was like a nice time. Hi, Joke Riddler. It was a nice time to feel hi, Acres. Great to see you. It feels like a comfy, cozy kind of time. You know what I mean? It rained in LA all this weekend. And hi, Andrew Thomas. Thank you so much. Nice to see you. It rained in LA all weekend and it was chilly. So, and I've been moving furniture all day. Hi, Chris. Great to see you. So, I just, I was getting ready for the show today and I was like, comfy, cozy, but make it fashion. So yeah, I see a handful of people in the chat asking about Abigail. So if you are a $10 and higher Patreon contributor, we did our first watch along this weekend, which was for the Radio Silence 2024 Abigail. And I posted the VOD. So if you want to, it's kind of like a live commentary, I guess. And so it was a lot of fun. And we're going to do it again in February. But if you are part of the $10 and higher tiers, please feel free to add like preferred days, times that you want to do our watch along, because we want to make sure that everybody gets to participate if you want to. That said, I thought it was a fun watch. I had never seen Abigail, so I was glad I did. I liked, didn't love, but it was fun. It was a fun one. Hi, Jordan. It's so. Thank you for being here. Great to see you. Hi, CSH. Yes, LA is the one place. Well, not the one place on Earth, but we're a big contender for very much needing the rain, and it was nice. It was a chilly kind of winter day. It's funny, but for the last 2 years, the last two winters that I've been in Los Angeles, we actually have had legit cold and rain, but this year not so much. Anyway, and to answer your question, Jordan, I've been here the whole time. I've been on the Instagrams, I've been on the Twitters, I've been on the threads, I am on the TikToks sometimes, but YouTube is new. YouTube is new for the new year. And no, my roof did not leak, Mike Joyce. However, in the last couple of years, the places that I had been, uh, were they were they were leaky and it was gross. And hi, Lowell. No, we did not have 7-degree weather this weekend in Los Angeles. That is correct. However, okay, I see you in the chat. Let's hold on a second. Let's all just hold on a second. The last 2 years, first and foremost, Los Angeles had actual winter. You don't get snow, of course, but like it was cold, real cold, actual cold, not LA cold, and very, very rainy. Like record breaking. But for those of you in the chat who are giving me sass, I am from Atlanta after all, and I did live in New York for a little while. I know what actual winter is, so shush. But That said, yeah, well, you feel like you haven't seen me since the Schmodown days. Well, why haven't you been following me on social media or watching me in my movies? I'm in some movies, Jordan. Uh, yeah, let's not weather shame. Yeah, Chris says, wish the trailer didn't spoil the twist in Abigail, but understand why they did it. So that was one of the things that we talked about actually was I have a friend at Universal and he mentioned to me even before the movie came out that the trailer was going to tell that the little girl in question is a vampire. And so the studio kind of was encouraging the team to cut like the first 20 to 30 minutes, and then just sort of jump in, but they didn't want to. And so as a result, I would agree that I think it kind of like I understand why you have to spoil that she's a vampire, but at the same time, like if we're gonna know she's a vampire, we gotta accommodate for that, I feel. Also, as much as I love Dan Stevens, his New York cop accent was maybe not the best, distractingly so. My biggest thing was I really liked it when the other characters start coming in. Like we have our core group who has to stay in the house for 24 hours. But like when other people entered the mix, I was like, yes, more of this. Like that would have like broken it up a little bit. Hey, Amra. Oh yeah, Abigail should have marketed as a haunted house. 100%. That's what, okay. So that's what I was saying when we were doing the stream yesterday was like, I felt like they should have just alluded to like there's something off with this girl, like there's something very very wrong with Abigail, or there's someone in the house, or there were ways that you could adjust for sure and not to give away that it was a vampire. But what can you do? um so, oh, she's Irish. Well, I did read in the trivia yesterday that they shot in Ireland. So there's that. Catherine Newton was my favorite part of the movie, says Chris. Yeah, I really, yep. And then Nicholas says, "Hi, Nicholas. Not to spoil it for anyone else, but I love the way the Catherine Newton character is played out. Absolutely, she's great. She's just so great in everything. And yeah, I really, really like her in most things. Mike says, I like Kevin Durant. Yeah. So it's nobody mentioned that he looks like Elon Musk. Nobody did, but that's a really fun, interesting point. I was saying how I got to interview Kevin on the Nerdist stage at the San Diego Comic-Con Carnival, and there's a photo of us sitting on a couch on the stage, like having a conversation. And it's so funny because I'm not a small person. In fact, I've been told I give off tall people energy. But that said, I'm not a small person, and he is literally twice my size. Like it looks like somebody in Photoshop is like adding two people to a couch, except one is like much bigger than the other one. And so anyway, but he's always been so nice. Every time I've interviewed him, every time I've chatted with him, he's always been great. Hi, Steve. Hi, Xavier. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. Uh, Jordan says they should have had someone else for the kidnappers to fight. Yes, that way the vampire surprise would. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, that was my thing, was like having when the other characters did come into the house, it felt like it came so late in the movie, and but those other characters felt like they gave such a like they just were a breath of energy, and it's just that's what you need, you in that kind of a movie, the tall person energy. Yeah, it's so funny. Somebody said to me the other day, who has met me in person, and he was like, how tall are you, like 5'9"? And I was like, no. I There is a funny story though. Here's why I think people say I have tall person energy, and then we'll get to the news. um I think it is because when I was little, it was like I was projected to be like 5'9", 5'10". Like I was projected to be very tall. My cousin on my dad's side is a very tall woman. And my dad is a big guy and he played football and all of that. So, but when I was 5 years old, I got mono. I got mono from a drinking fountain, and I got very, very sick. and have had like autoimmune stuff kind of ever since. A lot of people with mono do, mono as children, I mean. And I am convinced that my legs just didn't get as long as they were supposed to be because my torso is like very long, and but my legs are short, like in proportion to my torso. Anyway, this is to say, I think I give off tall person energy because my top half is the size of maybe a person who's like 5'9", but my bottom half is the size of a person who is 5'6", which is how tall I actually am. Anyway, this is my tale. And You could have Gattaca yourself. Yeah. What could have been had only things gone differently. Oh, right. So let's do a couple of housekeeping. Oh, hey, Gish golly, you should come up with a better story. Like I was hit in the head with it. Yeah, I know. Not that I was just a poor little 5-year-old who got mono, and my parents actually thought I had leukemia. True story. Um, you'd think that they would like be more excited that I made it, and I'd be like their little like, oh, our most precious, beloved little child, but no. uh yes, I should be tall, right? I should be. I'm not short, but I'm not tall. I'm not tall. My dad is tall though. My dad's whole family's tall. Anyway, this is not 23 and me. Wait, is that right? This is not the any of those things. This is sending the wolf. Okay, couple of housekeeping things. As I mentioned, yeah, Jordan, right? I the miracle girl. No, I just had mono. Your neck screams tall. That's hilarious. Okay. Tall talk. Yeah. This is our tall person corner. Okay, we're done. Moving on. Um, I think the only updates are if you're active on Patreon, thank you for being active on Patreon. You are welcome to watch the VOD at the $10 and higher levels of Abigail. Please feel free to chime in on when you would like to do when would be a good day for us to do our monthly watch along, because I want it to be during a time where everybody who wants to participate can participate. And speaking of Patreon, if you are $5 and higher, or if you're a paid member of the Patreon, please join the Discord. You can find it on our Patreon page. And that's it. I guess just Malum is on what's the AMC Plus and Shutter in the US. No, Nicholas, there is no judgment. Just a little boost, just a little housekeeping at the top for our Patreon people. But just your presence here, your presence is a present. So don't you worry. But for those who do participate, thank you. And then for those who are just here and chiming in the chat, that's awesome. All right. So let's talk about some news. Of course, I put the 3 things in our title that that are not that I found some better stuff. So we'll get to those. And yes, mirror domains. I actually do want to ask Anthony DeBlasi, the director of Malum, if he would do a watch along with me. I think that would be really fun. I had so much fun doing the Pulse watch along with Sam Levine, and it's always fun when somebody who is involved with the movie like is candidly talking about the movie, and for chat to chime in as well. So yes, I am. Anthony is going to come on the show, just like generally, I think, to talk about like the industry and talk about movies and stuff. But I do want to ask him and tell him that there was a suggestion of doing a Malum watch along. So stay tuned for that. And ZSH and Chris both say are bringing up presents. Hey, Ronan, good to see you. So I was supposed to see it on Friday, and something happened. Nothing bad, but something like prevented me from being able to go on Friday. So I hope to be able to go this week. I am going to see Companion on Friday. That ticket is booked because I know the people who like Companion say if you can go in knowing as little as possible, then that's the way to do it. So, and certainly I felt that way with Barbarian as well. Like and it's not, Zach Krieger. We have a Zach Krieger story, by the way. Uh, but, um, but I do think that, like, okay, I wanna be surprised. Sam, how have you seen Companion already? It's not even out yet. Did you go to a special early screening? Mike says, Presence was very good. Sam says, I liked Presence. Nicholas says, finally saw Amelia Perez on Saturday night in the theater. Didn't hate it, didn't love it either. I know last week on Monday, I was like I was doing so well with my awards catch ups and I really slack. Well, I didn't slack over the weekend. I'll tell you what happened. I went to Disneyland. I went to Disneyland on Saturday and it was very fun. And hey, Gishgali, shame on you. No, I went to Disneyland and then Sunday, we did our watch along and I did some stuff around the apartment and then I went to see a show at the Groundlings. So I did not get enough. I did not have time to watch any more screeners. Sam says, "Oh, I attended a Q&A with Sophie Thatcher. Well, no spoilies, Sam, but did she say anything interesting that you remember or you recall from the Q&A without spoiling anything?" And yes, 61, a brisk 61, Gishgali. Oh, Chris says they're having a companion screening at Draft House tomorrow. Is that Draft House LA, Chris? Um, also, does your sister do Draft House out here? I need to get on her little email list for sure. Your remark about to my bland comment about Hereditary. I'm off for a couple days and rewatch it. I'll see if I feel the same. Oh, great. Give it a rewatch. Listen, I mean, so back in the AMC days, not AMC movie theater, movie talk, AMC networks, back in the Fear HQ days, um, I feel like the only episode of Wolf's Call that that I did a two-parter on was Hereditary. I can talk about that movie all day long and do pause and plays that movie all day long. I just don't ever want to subject anybody to it if they're like, this is too much. But we can do a watch along for sure of Hereditary. That would be fun. Uh Mike Joyce says Amelia Perez is getting way too much hate. I really need to watch it. Chris says Draft House LA. Okay, so companion Draft House LA screening coming up. Oh, that's awesome. I need Christine to come out to town, Chris. I want to see her. I miss her. I didn't get to go to Fantastic Fest last year and I haven't seen her in LA. Tell her I say hi. Um, okay. So Sam says one of the reveals from Sophie Thatcher at the companion screening was that she suggested her character having a 1960s fashion style. That's cool. That's kind of like very Stepford Wives inspired, you know? I do like that they revealed, like, we know she's artificial intelligence, or at least that's what the trailer is telling us. So it's and Stepford Wives is one of my favorite movies, and I love Ira Levin. So that would be cool. Hi, Brian Knight. Great to see you. Nicholas says the mystery movie is tonight at all AMC, Regal, and Harkins theaters. The assumption is that it will be companion. If not, it might be Heart Eyes. Oh, that's cool, Nicholas. Did you get a like? Are you on an email thread? Is that how you found out about that? Because I have AMC A list and I didn't get like a notification about that. It probably will be companion because I feel like I would have heard if it was Hard Eyes from Michael, but who knows? Michael will hopefully be on the show in February. Michael Kennedy, writer of Freaky, It's a Wonderful Knife, and Hard Eyes. So I'm really excited to talk to him. And King says, "Have you seen Gray lately? Gray Drake lately?" Love her. I do love her too. I saw her for a where did I wait? I saw her for a walk or at an event. I can't remember, but I have seen her in the last couple of months. And she just got a job at I think Comic Book Resources. She's like the lead host and producer over there. It was so amazing for her. I love her. And it was just her birthday, by the way. It was Gray Drake's birthday on Friday, this past Friday. So if you haven't already, wish her a happy belated birthday. She's the best. They do mystery movies every once in a while. I check my Regal app all the time. Okay, cool, cool. All right, let's get into our stories. So this was a Lowell added this to the or alerted me to this as I was doing my research today about new Ray Ray feature news. Oop. Oh no. Now I'm small. Hold on. Wait a minute. Where are all my choices? There we go. Um Sam says, I love Hereditary. I immediately watched it the day after I first saw it. Yeah, it took me a couple of viewings, Sam. Like I saw it early, I think, at a film festival. After the buzz was out, though. It had already had its premiere, but it wasn't like wide release yet. And I saw it and I remember being like, okay, like, I remember being like, I like this. I don't love it. And I'm surprised horror fans are losing their mind over it. And then saw it again. And I was like, okay, I like this. I like this. And then I did a pause and play at home. And I think I told you the story on the Fear HQ episode, but I did a pause and play where I could like read all of the, how the camera will show you like newspaper clippings or stuff inside a book or, what that kind of thing. And so I actually like paused and read all the little stuff and all the details. And I was just like, oh, I love this. And now Hereditary is truly one of my favorite movies I've seen. I mean, it's definitely probably in my top like 50 favorite movies I've ever seen. I do love it. I know you cannot see my tabs. Ha ha ha. Whoa, Nicholas, you saw Hereditary in IMAX? Holy crap. I would love to see Hereditary in IMAX. OMG. That IMAX screen at Universal City Walk, that's where I saw Nosferatu finally in Los Angeles that's where I finally saw it in IMAX. Third time's a charm and I was just like, wow, this is incredible. Oh my gosh, you made your siblings watch Hereditary. That's a lot. That's a big ask. Big ask. We like mafia backgrounds with mafia backgrounds. So they have Mirror Domain says, I keep forgetting that I can add your comments. I apologize. I've only seen Rise of Skywalker once, couldn't bring myself to watch it, even though it tries to make sense of the sequel. Somehow Palpatine has returned is the worst line ever. However, I gotta say, Mirror Domains, somehow Palpatine returned has been absolutely hilarious online the last, I don't know, couple of months in the United States. I think one of my favorite memes I've seen is somebody being like, okay, now I now I feel like I've been a little hard on that line. Somehow Palpatine returned. Okay. Ronan says, I saw Hereditary in a cabin. It creeped me out the whole weekend I was there. Yes, 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 yes. I didn't like it all that much. I want to watch it again. Well, maybe it's fun to have a little context. Or, here's the other thing too about like Hereditary specifically. I do think that it was a victim of its own hype, kind of like Longlegs. Meaning I actually think that Hereditary is like an incredible debut feature. I think it is. Oh no, wait. It was Ari Aster's debut feature, right? Oops, I just did something. IMDb. Ari Aster. Let's see. I thought it was his directorial feature debut. Let's just triple check here so that I know that I'm not crazy. Short. Lots of shorts. Short. Okay, yeah, Hereditary was his debut feature. Anyway, I do think it's going to go down in history as one of the best debut features ever. But I get that it's not for everybody. Okay. Uncut Gems. Oh my gosh. They did Uncut Gems in IMAX? That I bet was awesome too. I've become such a snob for IMAX. Um, let's see. Oh, fascinating, Nicholas. I saw all of Ari Aster's movies in reverse. Beau is Afraid was my first experience with him, and it was a total mind screw. Soon saw Midsommar, director's cut, also in IMAX last year. Ari Aster's movies too are ones that I think that I need multiple viewings. So I still haven't watched Beau is Afraid, but when Sam Levine and I were doing the episode of the Screen Drafts podcast where we were doing holiday horror, not Christmas, not Halloween, I rewatched Midsommar, and after liking but not loving it, and while I still don't love it as much as Hereditary, and I think it is objectively too long. I liked it way better the second time. I was able to appreciate it so much more. So I think that's one of the things that I really love but I've always been somebody ever since I was a kid who likes to rewatch movies. And so this is to say that I love when filmmakers put layers that I can just, oh, I didn't catch that. Oh, I didn't catch that. Oh, I didn't catch that. Anyway, okay. Nicholas says he's one of my favorite filmmakers now. King says Midsommar I did enjoy. The trailer for Hereditary is incredible. Gishgali says I feel like Hereditary is 3 different films, and that can be a problem, but it made me, but to me, it made the whole thing better. Brian says I did find Hereditary to be extremely overhyped. Jordan says I will never forgive Disney Star Wars for what they did to Finn, from special stormtrooper with force potential break from his from programming to trash man. Yeah, that there was not. I do think that last trilogy could have used a little consistency. Never apologize for a corner. Never apologize for a tangent. That's what we do here. This is a live stream, you know? Like, I'm sure everybody else has an agenda, but on their streams. But you know what? Not me. I like a little chat. We're just hanging. Just hanging. Piranha, yeah, Mirror Domains. Piranha 2, The Spawning is James Cameron's debut. It's my guilty pleasure. Brian says Ari Aster's filmography isn't for me. But I gotta go down this road, Mike. Um, let's see. Mirror says Beau is Afraid was too bloated for me, but I did like the final act. Andrew says I like to rewatch both movies and TV shows a lot, Clarke. Um, let's see. The last third of Beau is Afraid is the most unforgettable section of that movie. That movie is is too long, but still great. Can't wait to see his Western. I rewatch films all the time, but mostly only the ones I like. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, I don't ever like it when if I say, oh, I didn't really like that movie, and someone's like, maybe you just need to rewatch it. I'm like, okay, I think I know how I feel about it. But there are certain movies where if enough people around me that I like respect their opinion, and from a filmmaking perspective and from a critical perspective, and I might have missed something, sometimes giving things a little bit of time to breathe and then revisiting is not a bad idea. So that's kind of how I like to do it. All right, way too much to say about Star Wars. Yes, let's get back to Star Wars. And before we do, Brian Knight says, is there a filmmaker's work you just can't connect with? Yes. Gareth Edwards. That is one where similarly, like, people, I think he's very competent filmmaker for sure. But whether it is the big budget stuff, the small budget stuff, it is just I just cannot connect with his work at all. And that's one where I've tried multiple times, and it's just not for me. And you know what though? That's okay, because some people love it. Um all right, let's get into the Ray film. Here we go. Um mm, mm, mm. Ronan says, I'm still excited for the Ray film, but hearing how many writers have been on the brought onto the script is something that does worry me a bit. Yes. So this was Lowell's point. Lowell, if you're still in the chat. Hey Fosa. Great to see you. Fosa says Finn was reduced to shooting and yelling out bad stormtrooper puns. Yeah, they just really did not know what to do with him, with his character, I mean. But let's talk about Ray. Let's talk about Ray because we are getting a Ray movie. Now, Lowell similarly mentioned that the idea that there were so many, writers being brought onto this one movie is not always a great sign. But, at the same time, I am of the opinion that, I think that with these big, big, big movies, it is about finding the right mix for the talent and the objective of the studio and the objective of the franchise. So like for instance, I always think about Edgar Wright being on Ant-Man, right? Within the MCU. And Edgar Wright's a great filmmaker. Edgar Wright is somebody who can absolutely do a big budget movie. However, his vibe and style just did not work with the MCU. And so he left. But I loved Ant-Man. I thought that the director that they got to do, it's Peyton, right? I can't remember, but I thought the director that they found to direct Ant-Man was awesome. I thought that movie was great. So that's not a knock against, Edgar, and it's not a knock against the franchise. It's just like some things are better suited to other people. Peyton Reed. But so this is to say, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing about circulating writers, but Star Wars, to be fair, I don't know, Star Wars is having a bumpy road. Let's read the article. Daisy Ridley's Star Wars movie enlists writer George Nolfi, exclusive from Hollywood Reporter. The scribe behind Ocean's 12 is the latest to take on New Jedi Order. George Nolf, why does it just only happens on Hollywood Reporter's website, and it makes me crazy. George Nolfi known for his screenplay work on movies such as The Bourne Ultimatum and Ocean's 12, has been tapped to write New Jedi Order, the Daisy Ridley-centric Star Wars movie. The hiring signals continued faith in the project, which was announced to great fanfare almost 2 years ago at Star Wars Celebration in London, but has seen several high-profile writers fall into the trash compactor. Documentary filmmaker Sharmeen Abad Chinoy is due to make her narrative feature debut within the project, with Ridley due to reprise the role of lightsaber-wielding Rey Skywalker, the character she played in Disney's sequel trilogy. The new story is said to take place 15 years after the events seen in 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, with Ridley's character now a mentor to a new crop of Jedi. Damon Lindelof and Justin Brett Gibson were the initial writers on the project, working on it before Obey Chinoy was brought on. By the time Ridley was revealed as returning in April 2023, Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight was clacking away at the keyboard. But by October 2024, he was no longer on the project. The script delays have pushed back any hope for production starts on this project, which at one point was eyed to follow the recently wrapped feature The Mandalorian and Grogu, which will be released May 22nd, 2026. Instead, the next Star Wars movie that will shoot will be the untitled project from director Sean Levy. That one got a major boost by capturing the interest of Ryan Gosling, who is now in negotiations to star. Yes, so when I was on Christian Harloff's show last week, that was our main story. That was like the main thing that we talked about. And I think he and I both kind of felt like, you know what? At this point, it does feel a little bit like we've just got to let the Skywalker saga alone. There's so many untapped places within the Star Wars cinematic universe to play. I understand though wanting to wanting to embrace Rey, wanting to embrace Finn, and so on and so on, but like I don't know, it's challenging to say the least. So, the new writer, Nolfi, is known for writing elevated thrillers across a variety of genres and for establishing strong relationships with his actors. He worked on two Bourne action thrillers with Matt Damon, not to mention Ocean's 12, before going on to make his directorial debut with The Adjustment Bureau, a 2011 sci fi thriller that starred the actor as well as Emily Blunt. He directed and Clarke co-wrote 2020's The Banker, a period race drama that starred Anthony Mackie and Samuel L. Jackson, then reunited with Mackie for 2024's Elevation, an indie post-apocalyptic thriller. Okay, so let's see. What does chat have to say? Doo-doo-doo. Okay. Fun fact, ZSH says the director is Pakistani, like me. And speaking of Star Wars, as a lifelong Bowie fan who loves Henson and Lucas and who has always appreciated Monty Python, I'm super excited about the new Labyrinth. Yes, I can't make heads or tails. I can't make heads or tails of the new Labyrinth. Gishgali says, wasn't Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12 the terrible one where Julia Roberts played herself? Yes, as well. That was the one where they barely hid that they were just there for a paid vacation. I guess it was successful enough though that it made, they made Ocean's 13 and Ocean's 8 and now they're coming back for more Oceans. So who can say? Mike says it's a big galaxy, they should explore more of it. And Nicholas says, with Star Wars, I'll believe it when they actually go into production. They've announced too much and not always followed through. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really, really great way to approach this. And King says, I did like Adjustment Bureau. Yeah, no, this is a really interesting perspective. So Amra says, Star Wars has been badly mismanaged. A documentary director is not a good fit for sci-fi. Now, I also kind of like scratched my head and went, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what the thought process is there. But I think that Disney doesn't or Lucasfilm doesn't necessarily just let people do they don't do this stuff let's see, haphazardly. So I don't know. I guess it's just about who can play in the sandbox, who can cooperate in the sandbox. And if they like the take, then they like the take. So I don't know. Brian says, I feel like Lucasfilm has to do something with the sequel trilogy characters. Can't let all of that investment go to waste. I mean, I will say, I mentioned I was at Disneyland on Saturday and we did a couple of Star Wars. We did Star Tours and I think you're right that those certain characters have really resonated with a certain audience. And so Disney knows that they need to kind of keep them in the rotation in some way. To your point, Brian. So I don't disagree with that. Let's see. And seeing a lot of love in the chat for the Adjustment Bureau. I don't know, gang. I like Daisy Ridley a lot. I like the character of Rey a lot. And as we were talking just a couple of minutes ago, I like Finn. And I think Rose Tico was misused and underused. So it's just here's what I'll say. I wouldn't write off any of the characters from the sequel trilogy. Simply because there was not necessarily a consistent arc or through line that didn't serve the characters as well. I don't think any of them, they're all good actors. They're all characters that have a really interesting potential for sure. So, Mira Domain says, I do like Daisy Ridley, so I hope she gets some redemption. Yeah, I agree. I hope that there's more for Rey to do, and I like the idea of picking up her story 15 years in the future, letting her have some agency. She is not the apprentice anymore. She is the master. I think that's all. I think that's all the right approach. So my fingers are crossed. I hope this is a success. Okay. What's our next little story here? There was some big ones. Ah, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Share this tab. Um, Zach Krieger and more Resident Evil along the way. Um, all right, let's get into it because this story, I j- it, when I read that there was a bidding war over who got the rights to a new Resident Evil, I was pretty shocked. Like, I kind of let's get into it. So, studios are fighting for a package that will see the Barbarian filmmaker write and direct a new movie based on the horror video game. So, before we get into it, chat, did any of you all watch the Resident Evil series on Netflix? Yeah, so Mirror Domain says, was I the only one that liked the Netflix Resident Evil series? I remember watching the first episode and thinking like, okay, I like this. This is fine, but I just didn't like it enough to stick with it. And again, this kind of goes back to our conversation we had last week about Netflix sort of just dumping like an entire season in one go. It's very hard to like get that buzz going, get people excited if it's not something that's already on their radar, or maybe they don't even know that they care about, but if the show's good, the show's good. But Ronan says Resident Evil again. And um King says, "Resident Evil is still going?" Yeah. Do do do. Nicholas says, "If it's good, maybe I'll finally see one. Never wanted to see any of the ones made before. Never appealed to me." I really did enjoy the Paul W.S. Anderson, the first couple of those. They were very, very of their time. So, like, whatever. They're very Paul W.S. Anderson. Like, they're very his vibe, his style. But that said, I do think that like that was appropriate for the time. And is it possible that maybe some games are just like they're of their time, they have their moment, and then maybe they don't resonate to the screen now? Like maybe it's I don't know. Um Let's see. King says, people love Resident Evil games. The movies have made a big following for Resident Evil all itself. I could see them wanting to continue with the IP. Ronan says, I never got into it. The films and multiple attempts to revamp the franchise adaptations didn't hook me. Steve says, Resident Evil 2 is my favorite video game. I was disappointed how the game was adapted into the Welcome to Raccoon City movie. Now Brian says to be honest, Zach Krieger is the right choice. And Slen also says if Krieger directs it, I'll be more interesting. So can either of you elaborate? What is it about him that is like making you feel like, oh, well, if he's interested, then I'm interested? Yes. Gishgali says Netflix did their annoying thing where they simultaneously developed a Resident Evil movie, live action series, and animated series. Who can keep all that straight? Yes, Gishgali. This was like the biggest confusion for me when all of this stuff was going on. And that was the Fear HQ days. And I remember we'd be on the Fear cast and we'd be talking about Resident Evil. And then I'd be like, we'd be talking about the movie, but then we'd be talking about the series. And it was all, as you say, it was very, very, it was all very hard to keep track. So Nicholas says, probably because Barbarian was such a great surprise. Yes, agreed, totally. In a perfect world, video games went untouched for films. Now, anything that makes money, all they'll try to do is make money from it, hence the Emoji Movie. Yeah. Brian Knight says Barbarian kind of felt like Resident Evil 7 in many ways. Oh my gosh. Tell me more. Tell me more. I remember so when I was growing up, my brother played the Resident Evil games. So I remember the earlier games, right? I don't know much about the reboots though. Let's see. Claiborne says, I love the Resident Evil games. However, none of the adaptations have gotten anywhere near capturing the feeling of the games, in my opinion. That's fair. I remember, listen, I do remember growing up when my brother would be playing these games. I remember they were like legitimately scary. They were legitimately scary. And there was always this like edge to them. You were always on edge. You were always very tense when you were playing the games. The suspense. They just totally like they had that down, at least in the original games. That's what I remember. Um, Slen says, I really enjoyed Barbarian, and Krieger seems like he's a fan of the series and might understand what makes it great. Okay, so let's keep going and see if there's any details here. In what seems to be the first major auction, oh my gosh, Hollywood Reporter, way, every time, way. Okay, in what seems to have become the first major auction of the year, an intense bidding war is underway for a reboot of Resident Evil, the horror action movie franchise based on the popular video games Krieger is attached to write and direct. 4 studios are elbowing for the win, among them Warner Brothers and Netflix, according to the sources. Also, wait a second. Here's another question. How did Netflix already lose the rights to these? How did they lose the rights to the adaptation of the games? They just had them. Why are they bidding for them all over again? That seems like a silly deal, right? Jordan Pack says, I loved Barbarian. Wish we got to see what other horrors that guy mentioned were deep underground and Mama and her father were going down there. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. Gishgali says the problem with video game adaptations is that most video games are ripoffs of movies. So by the time you adapt them back into films, you're watching a copy of a copy, but it is better now. I think that's fair. I think that's fair for sure. Brian Knight says Resident Evil 7 was about a dude trapped in a house with mutants, basically. Okay. So I see what you're saying, like the broad strokes, how it was kind of close to Barbarian. That makes sense. Nicholas says the game Doom was the same way. That game legitimately scared me when I played it as a teenager on the Sega 32X. Anyone else ever had that system in the 90s? CSH says The Last of Us is still the last video game I played from beginning to end. Highly recommend if you're looking for a good zombie hunting game. This is the other thing. So correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember, Resident Evil, it starts with zombies, but we absolutely have like monsters, right? Big creatures, monsters are also operating in this world. So, I just don't even know. Does anyone care about okay, here's a better question. Do the fans of the Resident Evil games actually care to see the Resident Evil games adapted into successful or into movies or TV shows? Because I feel like the thing that Hollywood execs maybe don't necessarily understand is that sure, there's always going to be a little crossover, but like I would argue that the people who are watching, it's like saying, oh, well, only the people that, the people who read Game of Thrones books, like we've got to make those books are so popular, we've got to make them happy. When I know so many people who just watch Game of Thrones on TV because it was its own compelling story. And then there were some people who had both the books and the TV show and they enjoyed them. Or there were some people who like, you know what I mean? Like, and so I don't really know. I don't really know if general audiences are clamoring for a new or any kind of Resident Evil moment. Ronan says it's a miracle that stuff like Castlevania, HBO's The Last of Us, Fallout, and Arcane came out after the Resident Evil adaptations and turned the tide for the perspectives and possibilities to adapt video games. Mirror Domain says Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City 2021 was pretty close and no one watched it. Exactly. Brian says any chance Krieger will dust off George A. Romero's Resident Evil script from the early 2000s? I'm going to say probably not. But, maybe there'll be a fun Easter egg in there. Ronan says, "My heart goes out to the fans of Resident Evil." Yeah. Um, okay, so Gishgali giving a little more context says recent Resident Evil games have gotten more distinct lately. Um, let's see. The last one had a giant, large-breasted vampire that became a breakout internet meme. I remember her. I have seen, yes, Sylviana during Fear HQ showed me, or somehow we got it. We looked it up, and I was like, okay. Um, okay. Brian Knight says, I personally would really like to see a good Resident Evil movie. And Jordan says, generally make something for the fans, but not too nitty gritty for normies to jump into. I would have the Romero Resident Evil if he ever made it, but mostly because I always watched Romero regardless of quality. That's fair. Claiborne says, I'm honestly not sure if the general audience would be interested. The first game feels like a lot of the first Alien to me. Oh, that's interesting. So that's kind of like what Gishgali was saying. Like, oh, the video games are very influenced by movies, so that by the time the games get adapted, it feels a little bit like a copy of a copy. If they can keep it smaller and lower budget, maybe that's the key. Now that's interesting. Actually, that's something I had not thought about, Claiborne. Like the idea that maybe Zach is doing this or hired for this job because maybe he said, okay, I can do it for not as small as Barbarian, obviously, but I can do it for, we're not doing a big, crazy budget. We're actively going to take this into more of a medium size. Um, let's see. Um, So I do have hi Eric. I do have this thanks for joining us. I do have this on my list, but we're talking Resident Evil right now, but I promise I'm going to get right back to you. Um let's see. Doesn't Krieger have weapons coming out first? Maybe. Um Yeah, we were talking about this, Eric, Original Sin. We were talking about this last week too, when Michael C. Hall kind of announced that Dexter Resurrection, I think, was in production. Listen, I'll be honest with you, and I said this then, but like I fell off of Dexter because that finale, those last couple of seasons were just straight up very bad for me. But it seems like people are here for more Dexter. So, okay, let's look a little bit closer at the nitty gritty here. Constantine Film, which has held the screen rights to the title since the late 1990s and has been behind the previous movies, will produce the reboot along with PlayStation Productions. Shay Hatton, who worked on John Wick Chapter 4 and Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, is co-writing. The movies, yes, the movies were big money makers. Okay, so this is more about the deal. The movies, six starring Mila Jovovich, plus one origin feature made during the pandemic, have been moneymakers, but Krieger is the reason studios are willing to shell out major money. He was an actor and comedian who reinvented himself as a cutting edge filmmaker with Barbarian, the 2022 cult hit that he wrote and directed. It also established him as a new voice in horror. And when he went out with his follow up horror project, a bidding war erupted. That became a film titled Weapons. So there you go, which was won by Warner's New Line division and saw him become a final cut director. Oh, that's good for him. Good for her. Good for him. So that means he gets the final say. That's awesome. Also, by the way, I mean, it is kind of like, hey, I just made this crazy successful critically and commercial, successful movie on like no money. Maybe you leave me alone and trust me. I don't disagree with that. Um Let's see. The horror movie has Josh Brolin and Julia Garner in its ensemble cast. The word on Weapons is that it's very strong and has been testing quite high, according to sources. And Warner's, which has not yet dated the movie, is likely doing everything it can to keep Krieger in its talent fold. And by the way, like if you were with us a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Warner Brothers, like actively pivoting to try to become a director's studio again, especially after they pissed a lot of people off during COVID with the day and date stuff and like, oh, we're not doing theatrical releases anymore. And of course, notoriously shelving Batgirl and Coyote versus Acme. If I were a filmmaker, well, I am a filmmaker, and I got to tell you, I wouldn't trust Warner Brothers not to just throw my movie in the trash and take a tax write off. So I would never, as long as David Zaslav was in charge, I would absolutely never trust that anything I made for them ever would not just get thrown in the trash for a tax write off. Which if you can tell, it makes me furious. It's illegal. I there are a lot of things that the U.S. government needs to get their butts in gear about, and legislation about all of this is just I don't understand. I'm getting flames on the side of my face. Anyway, let's check in with chat. What does chat have to say? Um, DTT. Let's see. Oh, no worries, Eric, by the way. I'm not chastising, just saying like, yes, we have talked about it a little bit and I'm glad people are liking it. I just don't I think I was burned by the Dexter. I was burned by Dexter and I don't know if I can ever go back. So Brian says Weapons is currently scheduled to release in January 2026. Some rumors suggest Warner Brothers will move it up. Hi, M. Santiago. Great to see you. CSH says I've always wanted to make a movie just using my iPhone, using that exact same logic. King says, Clarke, regrettably, I have not watched your films yet. I will correct that mistake. Nicholas says David Zaslav is the most untrustworthy person in Hollywood. Ronan says it's blasphemy. Those films should have been given a shot. I seriously, where is Anonymous, the hacker organization? That's what I need. I need them to break into the vault, and I need them to find or someone's hard drive that still has it, and I need them to release it online, release Batgirl, and release Coyote versus Acme online. They have to. Somebody has to do this. Somebody needs to be a hero for all of us. Okay. Anyway, Slen says the last Resident Evil reboot combined the first and second games. I'd love a direct adaptation of just the first game, a spooky mystery in a mansion, but I'm interested to see what they end up doing with this new one. Eric says I'm surprised Zaslav hasn't messed with James Gunn. I mean, there's still time. I hope that doesn't happen. I really do. Hi Paige, great to see you. Welcome. Oh, thanks, Ifose. I'm glad you like my little southwest kind of Palm Springs vibes here. Eventually this will look like a real studio and not just have a painting on the wall. But you know what? I'm doing the best I can. But thank you for the compliment. I'm so glad you like it. And thanks, King. I'm glad you like it too. Okay. Last word on this. The Resident Evil movies, based on the Capcom video game series, were a mix of horror, sci-fi, and action. Followed a heroine who fights zombies and the Umbrella Corporation, the biowarfare company that let loose the monsters. The movies have grossed over $1.2 billion worldwide. Krieger's take is described by sources as a revamp that will take the title to its horror roots and be more faithful to the initial games, which date back to 1996. So there you go. Throwback to the original, just some creepy stuff going on in a mansion. Yeah, Brian, but what's been deleted is never really gone. You know what I'm saying? Um Oh, this is an interesting theory, Paige. I think they are holding Batgirl in case Superman flops and they can get rid of DC pennies. Interesting. Who knows? Honestly, who knows? Eric says, should maybe Robert Eggers bring back Monsterverse? You know, I think Robert Eggers can do anything he wants to do, Eric. And it does sound like he wants to do a werewolf movie next and then do a Labyrinth sequel. Why? I don't know. I just don't. I just don't know what we're doing. What's anyone doing? Good for him, as you know. Okay, cool. That's our Resident Evil corner. We did it. What's next? Oh, I thought this was a cool little story, especially well, little, not so little. Especially considering that we just watched what's Dan Stevens and Abigail at our monthly watch along. So for anybody who's new in the chat, every month we do a watch along on Patreon. So you can check out those tiers if you want to. On Sunday, we did a watch along of Abigail and from 2004, and the VOD is now available on Patreon. Okay, Rebecca Hall joins Godzilla Kong co-star Dan Stevens in Adam Wingard's Onslaught. So I think this is cool. It's a new feature from A24, Lyrical Media and Writer Picture Company. Love that Adam Wingard. So I think it was King who said very early in the chat, Dan Stevens in the guest, mentioned Dan Stevens in the guest, which if you guys have been following me at any point, you know I have been team The Guest since the beginning. It was my favorite movie of 2014. And I absolutely did my best to cover it when I was working for Nerdist at that time. Do do do. Da da da. Oh, Ifosa, side note before we get to Adam Wingard, I did see One of Them Days. I saw it on Thursday. And you know what? SZA, am I saying that right, by the way? I think I heard I did a little, but anyway, I thought the girls were incredible. Like I thought they are so funny. They are charm for days. The camera loves them. They were my favorite part of One of Them Days. I just thought they were absolutely fabulous. Yeah, I thought, I mean, we all know Kiki Palmer is a star. She's an absolute star. And but I thought SZA was amazing. Like I just thought she was so real, so funny, but not like they just are good actors. I'm an actor. I always like when I see natural acting, and I just thought they were amazing. So I'm really, really happy for them. Okay, so let's get back to this. Thank you for that question. I did see it. Okay. Mike Joyce, Rebecca Hall makes everything better. M. Santiago, oh, Dan Stevens, what a scream king. Oh, I worked background on a show he was doing. Was it uh Legion? I've interviewed Dan a couple times. He's very cool. He's quirky. I would say quirky is how I would describe him because he's not weird. He's just quirky. But you guys, if you guys know me, you know I've been an advocate for The Guest ever since the first moment I saw it. I just was like, oh my God, this is the greatest. This is so good. And it broke Dan Stevens through. Like, I know Dan Stevens was an actor on Downton Abbey. He was an actor before The Guest. Yes. But I do think that like all the cool people in Hollywood, I'm not talking about myself. I'm just talking about like, there was this joke I remember Mitch Hurwitz saying about the cast of Arrested Development when Netflix finally got the rights and bought Arrested or had the rights from Fox and they were going to do Arrested Development season 4. Mitch Hurwitz was talking about how to shoot it with all of the cast, like without all of the cast being in the same place at the same time. And he said something that I've always thought about, which was nobody watched Arrested Development when it was on. I did. But the handful of people that did are all Hollywood executives. And so now my cast is the most in demand, like that cast is the most in demand cast of actors you could possibly think of. So even though like the masses didn't watch it, the right people did, and all of that cast of Arrested Development will work forever. And so I bring that up. I tell that story because it's what I think of when I think of The Guest. Like Adam Wingard and Simon's movie, like the coolest people in Hollywood who make decisions saw The Guest, and like Micah Monroe and Dan, but Dan especially just like exploded. So you love to see it. It's so good. Oh, this is fun. Another Mr. Lizard says, love The Guest. If they had been casting Bond then, Stevens would have been my pick. I love that. Oh my God. Maria Sophia, We talked about this. Sorry, now we're going back to one of them days. But Mike, you're totally right. Loved Maria Sophia. The group of people that I was with had not watched her on Curb. And I was like, are you joking? She was great. Anyway, yeah, Ifosa. It reminded me of Friday. It reminded me of Friday as well. Um, Great cast. Okay, back to Adam Wingard and back to Dan Stevens and back to Rebecca Hall. I do like about 8 seconds of the guest. Yes, this is true. When I had my show on AMC, or when I had my show on Fear HQ, anytime we were having a bad day, it's time to watch Dan Stevens walk out of the shower in the guest. But you know what? It's art. That's cinema. We are cinephiles here. Oh my god, I swear. Oh, another Mr. Lizard. I know this. I know what you're referencing. And the guest had the best promotional interview in British TV. I know exactly what clip you're talking about. Oh gosh. Mirror says Dan Stevens was great on Downton Abbey. Oh, this is fun. Eric says Dan Stevens was a lot of everybody's Batman fan casting. You know, I I will just interject real fast here. As I said, I don't know Mr. Stevens, but I have interviewed him a few times. I've gotten a read on his vibe. And a couple of my friends are kind of friends with him. I think that you know how Tim Burton talked about how like when he was casting Batman, Michael Keaton was the only person that he saw who you could imagine like actually would dress up as a bat at night and then go out into the world and like he was the only person who like could actually be that crazy. Um I think that Dan Stevens has that too. I think that there is a duality should he have ever like you know what I mean? Unfortunately, I think in this day and age that's not what we want from our Batman. I don't think that's what fans want, movie fans who are paying to go see Batman on the big screen. I think Christian Bale is just too cool. Like, you know what I mean? I think Christian Bale and Chris Nolan's Batman just kind of defined a character. Like Christian Bale was kind of sad, but he was never weird. And I will say, you know, especially doing my show for DC Daily, like and reading, you know, the comics and like connecting the dots to the TV and the movie and all of this, Batman's nuts, you know, and I do think that that's what Tim Burton responded to. And I do think that Dan Stevens would be able to capture that. Anyway, what a tangent. Um I'm seeing I'm seeing so many wonderful I'm seeing so many wonderful Arrested Development love in the chat. Eric says you should bring back nightmares. You know, we're just doing a little blend. We've got a lot of horror talk in here for sure. Dan Stevens was in Beauty and the Beast. How do you have Dan Stevens as in Beauty and the Beast and only show his face for 36 seconds? What were they thinking? Truly, what was anyone thinking? Um, yeah, ZSH. Dan Stevens feels like if Christian Bale just kept going after and never really got past or through his American Psycho era. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, and Brian, your lips to God's ears. You know what I'm saying? I would love it if we could get the guest too. They keep saying they're gonna do it, but why would they? Why would anybody like? Okay, Adam Wingard's making Godzilla movies and like huge movies. He's not gonna want to go back and make like the guest because no one's gonna give Adam $100 million to make the guest two, right? And so it'd be like it'd have to be really stripped down, unfortunately for us. But um Paige says Hall and Stevens could be the next great acting duo. I would watch them eat pizza. Yeah, for sure. Um and then back to Batman. Mirror Domain says I liked Robert Pattinson as Batman. I do too. Yeah, this is how I feel, Eric. Pattinson was a good Batman, still room to grow as Bruce. And I think that's the idea, by the way. I think that's sort of what Matt Reeves is going for with this iteration of Bruce and Batman is that he's not quite like the badass that we know. Like that's another thing that's interesting. I really thought it would have been cool if Ben Affleck could have kept playing that part. I know he didn't want to, and I think that that's respectable, like the pressure of leading a huge franchise, just not good for his mental health. Like, totally respect and understand that. But I do think that Ben Affleck had for his the where he is in his like his age is like a kind of a perfect that era, like that age range Batman, you know? And I think Pattinson is a really good this age range of Batman. I so I like that we're getting, Elseworlds, yeah, as Ronan is saying. They can shake up the approaches when it comes to casting Batman. Yeah, and then there's this. M. Santiago says, I'm a little burned out on Batman, not gonna lie. And like, I don't I don't blame you. Oh wait, did I miss CSH said something? Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We already read that one. Ooh, yeah, another Mr. Lizard said Wingard did release a Guess 2 soundtrack with his music and stuff. That's cool. That soundtrack, oh my god. Truly one of my favorite movie soundtracks ever. Like I listened to it front to back. Um T to B. By the way, Clark loved the penguin. Yeah. Same, Eric. I really enjoyed the penguin. I hope we get to see more of that for sure. Oh, hi, Luis. Haven't seen the guest yet. What's a quick log line for it? How would you pitch it to someone like me? I love this question. Think about it as Halloween meets the Terminator, starring Dan Stevens. That's not my pitch, by the way. That's their pitch. Their pitch was it's Halloween meets the Terminator, and then Dan Stevens plays. So he plays an army veteran who comes to a small town and knocks on the door of one of his army buddies' parents' house, um, who has died in combat, and says, "I'm your son's best friend, and I just came because I promised him I would." And then it is the Terminator meets Halloween. It's really fun. It's really fun. It's not horror. You'll be fine. Mirror Domain says, I wanted to see Affleck's Deathstroke movie he was working on. Eric says Affleck had an omnipresence as Batman. Alan Richson. Alan Richson. So if any of you guys were DC Daily people, we watched Alan Richson on Titans as Hawk, and he was great. He was so great. And he's great as Jack Reacher. He's great on Fast and Furious. I would love it if James Gunn would let him kind of do a Lobo. Like if it was like, oh yeah, well, you've already played a character in the DCU, but you'd be great as this part. So we're just gonna do it. It's like, yeah, Jason Momoa should have played Aquaman, and he should also play Lobo. And Alan Richson, I would love for him to play any other character in the DCU he wants. He's incredible. Efosa says Batfleck will always be the best on-screen looking Batman. He does have the look. He really, really does. I totally agree. Let's see. Let's see. Claiborne says, I still think about what Ben Affleck's Batman movie would have looked like. He's just such a great director. I wonder what his take on the character would be. Yeah, I agree. Maybe one day he'll want to do like an older generation Batman. Maybe he won't. Probably not. But I think he was great as the character. I would have loved to have seen him really wrap his arms around that character as a filmmaker, as an actor. Like, I just think it would have been so cool. Um, okay. Great. I see. Loving this, loving all this hype. Oh my God. Alan Richson and Batman hype. I love it. Love it. Okay. Let's get back to our story though. We took such a detour, but that's good. I like it. We're just chatting. That's what we do here. I also love that we've talked about like 3 things. I prepared a whole show for us. But this is good. I love it. Thank you, chat, for being here. Y'all are the best. You make this fun. This is so fun. Okay. So, Adam Wingard, here we go. I will forever love Stevens, especially Wingard, for making the latest Godzilla movie a straight up kids film. I know kids, 2 friends, kids, that are obsessed with Godzilla because of that. Okay, Gishgali, my nephew is 5, and my best friend, I call him my nephew, but my best friend is like the kid at Christmas. She was like, these kids, they're obsessed with Godzilla. And she was like, "There's a new Godzilla movie coming out." And I was like, "I think I would know if there was a new Godzilla movie coming." And she was like, "Oh, well, the kids are obsessed with the toys." So to your point, Gishgali, you are 1,000% right. My best friend's kid is also in this group. Like, it's so wild. Um, let's see. Jeremy says, I love this so much. Oh, good, Jeremy. That makes me happy. I love it too. I love this water cooler vibe to the show. Good. I'm glad you like it. We're just chatting. That's a little inside Twitch joke. It was always so funny that our show was like categorized as just chatting, but that's truly what we did. Um, okay. And Eric says, Clarke, I want to see the substance, but I am nervous. Certain types of movies get me nervous. Advice. Well, here's what I'll say. And then poor Rebecca Hall. This is a story about. I love it. It's a story about Rebecca Hall getting cast in a movie that is not Godzilla or Batman related. Poor Rebecca Hall. Let's just put her picture up, even if we never talk about it. Anybody who like stumbles on this video on YouTube is going to be like, why are they talking about Batman with a picture of Rebecca Hall? Oh, I'm getting such a kick out of this. Okay. The substance. Detour. The substance. Um, for the body horror, chat, please weigh in. Tell me if you agree. I think the hype of the body horror was a little much, meaning it's gruesome. There's a lot of visceral stuff. But I also think that like for me, when the body horror stuff starts, it's really the more medical stuff that like got under my skin and kind of creeped me out. But then once you get past the more like realistic medical stuff, and then you get into like the heightened horror sort of body horror stuff, um, I think it's totally manageable. But you have to take into consideration that I do watch scary movies for a living most of the time. So, that's my thought. Okay, cool. Oh, Chris, here we go. Chris got the breaking news. Breaking news can confirm from East Coasters tonight. AMC Screen Unseen is indeed Companion. Breaking news from Chris. Thank you, Chris. That's amazing. I love it. Cast Rebecca Hall as Batman. Honestly, I'm not mad at it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, another Mr. Lizard says I'm going to Tokyo in March. Oops. Did I pay extra night to stay in the Godzilla hotel? Damn right I did. Love it. It's only too much in the 3rd act. That's so funny, Mike. I felt like the opposite, but I guess maybe though because too I felt like I was inoculated to it at that point. Like everything just got so crazy and so over the top that it didn't ever feel real. So by the end, so I kind of was just like, "Oh, this is whatever." But I also understand how I'm not the average bear when it comes to the squirmy stuff. Okay. Da-da-da. Okay, so here's the story. Rebecca Hall. What are we doing? What is Onslaught? Adam Wingard is directing an action thriller called Onslaught. The movie sees Rebecca Hall, whose true life drama, Peter Hujar's Day, premiered at Sundance over the weekend. She's going to re-team with Dan Stevens, her Monsterverse co-star, who is also part of the cast of the A24 thriller now in production. Adria Arjona, stars as a mother living in a trailer who falls back on a particular set of skills in order to protect her loved ones as she runs afoul of a threat that has escaped a secret military base. The call sheet also includes UFC champion Alex Potan Pereira, Michael Bean, Eric Wareheim, and Reginald Johnson. Whoa. Okay. You know how wait a minute. Interesting. Aaron Ryder and Andrew Sweat will produce Onslaught under their Ryder Picture Company banner along with A24. Also producing, okay. Huh. Okay, chat. Am I crazy? What do you think? Is there any way that Onslaught is a secret The Guest movie? I know what I just said. I know what I just said. What I just said is that's never going to happen because Adam Wingard's not going to make a small The Guest movie. Is it possible that this is a The Guest movie? Am I crazy? What do we think? Hmm. Okay, what does chat say? Um, Loved Rebecca Hall in The Night House. Me too. Loved her in that. I've been a Rebecca Hall going all the way fan going back to Starter for 10 in 2007. Loved that movie. Also has Benedict Cumberbatch, James McAvoy, Dominic Cooper, and Alice Eve. Wow, that is a cast. What a cast. Oh, and Andrew says I enjoy Starter for 10, one of the few romance comedies that I like. Interesting. Interesting. You should do a live one day just chatting about our favorite films from different decades. Absolutely. If I got yeah, you guys make that look you guys make that easy. I know another Mr. Lizard, but it says he's a German scientist, but it's military adjacent. Is it possible that Dan Stevens is playing two characters? Is it possible that that's a lie? Who can say? Armada says the guest is dope as hell. Yeah, unless it's a lie. Hmm. Okay, chat is throwing cold water on my plan. Nicholas says probably not. Brian says that would be awesome, but I doubt it, unfortunately. All right. Well, who can say? But if it turns out that this is a secret guest movie or it lives in the guest universe, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. Also, do you remember when they were attached to Adam Wingard was attached to do Face Off, a new Face Off movie? I do. I really wanted that to happen. I really did. All right. There was a request in the chat a moment ago for a little scary movie talk. Let's talk about a little scary movie action. It was only a matter of time, wasn't it? Scary Movie Reboot gets summer 2026 theatrical release. I also just want to say, I love the notion that this is being called a reboot because it's just I feel like Scary Movie was such a like a loosey goosey franchise that is it really? I mean, is it really a reboot or is it just like a new one? We'll see. Okay. And will Anna Faris be in it? Because that's what I need. All right. The Wayans brothers reteam Scary Movie from Paramount and Miramax is hitting theaters on June 12th, 2026. This is the first time in 18 years that the Wayans have gathered to pen a new original script for the restart of the satirical franchise. Rick Alvarez is also writing and producing. The series has sent up such horror pics as Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is really funny because we're getting a new I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's all just cyclical. Scary Movie was one of the highest grossing R-rated horror movies of all time. The film opened to $42.5 million. dollars. Holy cow. Which was the biggest opening for an R-rated horror movie and a Black director at that time. The Scary Movie franchise was developed by Marlon Wayans, Sean Wayans, and Keenan Ivory Wayans. Keenan wrote and directed the first two films. Marlon and Sean wrote and starred in the first two films. This will be the sixth film in the franchise. Miramax is the studio behind the franchise, and Paramount Pictures is releasing worldwide. Scary Movie is part of Paramount's first look deal with Miramax. Paramount is trying to bring comedies back at the box office. They have the Trey Parker, Matt Stone untitled comedy set for July 4th this year. What? Did not know that. I would love to hear more. They have Naked Gun with Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson on August 1st, and now Scary Movie. Sony recently opened the R-rated SZA and Kiki Palmer comedy One of Them Days to a first week take of $17+ million. Marlon Wayans just alerted everyone on social. What is it? Can we just play it? No, it's going to make us go to Instagram. A scary date. Does it have sound? No, it has no sound. Okay. All right. What else does it say? Anything? Nope. That's it. Very vague. Okay. That's fine. Let's see. Chat, what do you have to say? Yeah, exactly. You heard it here first. Okay. Eric says, it's been a while since the last Scary Movie. What do you hope we get for spoofs and cameos? Do you think Anna Faris will return? All right. So, yeah, this is a good question, chat. What do you think? Because here's my the first thing when I heard they were bringing back Scary Movie, the first thing I thought of was Hereditary. Funny enough, we were just talking about it, and someone's head getting knocked off. That was the first thing I thought of. So someone's head is getting knocked off. I can guarantee it. Or I can't guarantee it, but that is my guess. They just have to. If they're gonna and we're gonna get a whole monologue about grief. That whole thing, I have to believe. Nicholas says if the Wayans brothers are back in control, this will be well worth it. And Mike says, when was the last good spoof movie anyway? I don't know. Let's see. Chris says need Anna Faris and Regina Hall in it too. 100%. And Ifosa agrees. Regina Hall and Anna Faris have to come back. Just to interject real fast, I did not like Cuckoo, but that's just me. Okay. Yes, Brian Knight. Are they going to spoof A24 and neon horror movies? Oh my God. Can you imagine the long legs Wayans Scary Movie moment? Can you imagine? It basically would just be the makeup from White Chicks. Let's be real. Oh my God. I have to see long legs in Scary Movie. I have to. Please tell me that is not the most wonderful idea. Hello. Let's see. Hi, Islerand. Great to see you. I hope I said that right. Let's see. I'll take your. They got a spoof. Dope. I don't know what that is. Oh, Smile. Smile. Oh my God, Eric. Yes. Smile is making its way into Scary Movie. 100%. That's great. Yes. Wonderful. Let's see. And what is Dope? I don't know what that is, Eric. Oh, is there a way to do a comedic take on Blink Twice? I still haven't seen that, but I think that is a little too niche. You know, that was the thing with the Scary Movie movies, I think, is that the idea was like pop culture moments, right? So, like, yes, there was always some nitty gritty in there, like, oh, some deep cuts or whatever. But the stuff that they were really going after were the moments that broke through in pop culture. Like, I wonder if we'll see Mr. Babadook in there. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's that type of stuff where even if you have no idea what the movie, if you didn't see the movie, you probably could pick up on a Mr. Babadook kind of pop-up book, right? You could probably pick up on Long Legs. That was so memeified. It was so, that was the other thing I thought of. Honestly, like when I heard this too, the other one I thought of was Nosferatu, Orlok and his mustache. Like there is a lot, there's a lot that we can do here. Oh no, got it. Thank you. Okay. Yes, now I understand. Um, Oh my gosh, Chris says they've got to spoof Get Out and Us. And then Eric Z says Get Out and Us. Wow. That would be really, really funny. Really funny. Man, just so many really good opportunities here. Like really, really good opportunities here for this. I can't, this is gonna be fun. And honestly, now that I really actually work in this part of the business, I'm like, what are they? What do the Wayans brothers have to say about all this? It's a little serious. You know what I mean? It's a little serious. Um, okay. Should we do a trailer? This was requested actually. Oh yes, and the Lost Boys musical. Now, oh my god, Key and Peele should cameo too. Oh, and cameos. Oh, Eric says Jenna Ortega. Got it. Cameos? I mean, hmm. Who would be a good, like, what would be a good pop culture, like, horror cameo? I don't think Nick Cage would do it because he was very serious. Like and I love Nick Cage, but I don't think he would like do anything long legs related. Hmm. I mean, I don't think like Micah Monroe would do it. But she's in a Oh, It Follows. Oh my gosh. Are we going to get an It Follows joke? That could be fun. That could be really fun. Um I that would be really good. Let's see. Oh, Wednesday. Sure. Yep. Creepy Kid, like Creepy Kids, very popular. Always good to parody. Um, and then Armada was chiming in some, and I think maybe somebody else was chiming into Lost Boys musical coming to the stage. Yes, that has actually been in the works for a while. That has been in the works for a while. That has been announced for a while. Um, Patrick Wilson is producing. I don't know if that's ever going to actually happen. But yes, we will keep our eyes peeled for the Lost Boys musical for sure. Oh my God, another Mr. Lizard. Any chance of them saying evil? Chances of them saying "Evil dies tonight" in Scary Movie? 100% probably. This is great, actually, Eric. Great thought. Great thinking. Stranger Things. 11. Absolutely. Stranger Things would be perfect to incorporate into the Scary Movie universe. I love that. Um, shouldn't scary movie films take 3 to 6 months to throw together? Why are they hyping it 18 months in advance? Probably because they are. I have a feeling. I mean, I know you're probably being funny, Gishgali, but I actually do think there's a method to this madness. I think this reboot, this revision, is a take on the last 10 years of horror pop culture, and it'll probably be, my guess is, a little bit more of a crafted, like broader broader parody. And then if it is successful, then I think you get the faster moving stuff. um so yeah. Oh, funny. Patrick Wilson, ZSH says, Patrick Wilson lives in my sister's town. Ran into him at a bar on my birthday last year. Did he sing you a song? Listen, the words Patrick Wilson Lost Boys musical are excellent words. Like I love everything about it. No notes. I just want to I need to hear it. I need to see it. Like believe it when I see it. You know what I mean? Okay. Shall we switch gears? Oh, this is Opus. We'll watch that too. But I had a request for Drop, and I actually had this trailer pulled last week, and we just had so much Oscar talk that it just didn't. I didn't have time. So, yeah, Mirror Domains Valak would be really fun. Oh God. Oh my gosh. Yes, The Nun. The Nun. Yes, brilliant. Of course, The Conjuring. I didn't even of course, The Conjuring. Like, yes. Oh my god. Perfect. And you know that's gonna just you know, I bet Bonnie would do it if they asked her and she legally could. I bet Bonnie Aarons would make that cameo. That would be fun. Yes, what was I thinking, Gish golly? Not Patrick Wilson. I meant Dalton's daddy. Dalton's daddy. Uh The Substance. Yeah, for sure. I wonder, yeah, for sure. Okay, let's watch the full trailer for Drop. I like this. I'm excited. I haven't watched it actually, but as I mentioned, I love Chris Landon. I know Jillian and Chris, the writers. They're wonderful. They're great people. And I like this premise a lot. So let's watch.
Okay, let's try this.
Oh, wow.
No. My my earphones aren't connected. Hold on. Hold on. Wait. I think I went so long without using them that they got disconnected. What's happening? Okay. Sorry, y'all. It wouldn't be a stream if there weren't some technical difficulties. Okay. Now I think we're connected. Battery low. All right. We'll watch one trailer. No, I believe you, ZSH. We believe you. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Here we go.
Okay, let's try this.
Oh, wow. Did you mean to dress like a candy cane?
I don't think I should go.
He's been waiting patiently to meet you for months. It's just a date.
I love you. Thank you.
Have fun.
Bye. Think I only want one number in my phone.
It's just a date.
I might change your contact, but don't leave me alone. You said you like my eyes and you like to make
Hi. Sorry, I got a drink because I was nervous.
I had a couple in the car on the way over.
I'll be honest.
Can't believe we're actually doing this.
I mean, you are the first guy who didn't ask for feet pics.
It's a second date thing. Everything okay?
Somebody sent me this.
It's just dumb kids trying to mess with you.
It's weird.
I mean, who do you think it is?
Oh, I don't know.
We can figure this out. I think you gotta be within 50 feet to send a drop. So, it's someone in the restaurant.
Uh-oh.
Violet, everything okay?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay, wait. I have to pause it real fast. Y'all, what are the chances that it's him? What are the chances that it's her date? We're just chatting.
911, what's your emergency?
You need help? Please. What do you want from me? I can't do that. I'll kill you if you hurt my son. Why him? Why does he have to die? They chose me for a reason.
Shot of tequila never kill anybody, right?
So, how's this date going?
Okay. Happy birthday to me. My birthday is April 12th. Um, yes. So Nicholas says if the director of Happy Death Day is doing this, this is going to be fantastic. Christopher Landon is a good horror director. Santiago says, I think we just watched the whole movie. Oh, this Yellowstone dude is everyone's favorite for DCU Batman. Is that the guy from Yellowstone? I only watched the pilot. I found it not interesting. You do not like the trailer, or you think that or the fact that we maybe just watched the whole movie in the trailer? So yeah, I mean, look, I agree. I think Chris is an amazing director. I love most everything that he has done. He's so smart. He's such a good storyteller. Yeah, so I am curious to say the least. Yeah, okay. So Eric, this is exactly what I was thinking. Red Eye. Red Eye meets phone booth. So like I thought exactly what you thought. You get this, or what you just said. It seems like it's following a red eye sort of layout. So you've got the opening setup, then you've got like going to the date, being on the date, or being on the plane, and then she gets off the plane in red eye, and then there's a huge like climax at her house. And I think that might be what we just saw. So it's like we don't know if she kills the date, right? And like the setup, the date, that part's like an hour, and then she gets out, she leaves, she goes to the house, there's a fight. Like I think that's okay. I don't think that gives too much away. Armada says looks a lot like phone booth. Mirror Domain says I think it looks pretty suspenseful. Eric says I think phone booth was the first Colin Farrell movie I ever saw. Kiefer Sutherland was creepy. That was supposed to be Jim Carrey, by the way. The Colin Farrell part was supposed to be Jim Carrey because he had been working with Joel Schumacher so much. I like it. I like a contained thriller. I like it. I think it, and again, Chris is a great director. Jillian and Chris Roach are very, very good writers. So maybe if the trailer feels a little generic, I think they're just trying to sell the concept, which I get. But wait a minute. Y'all said, who is the guy who's playing her husband? Or, excuse me, the date? Let's read some little information here. Okay. Chris Landon returns to the thriller genre with a playful, keep you guessing intensity he perfected in the Happy Death Day films with this of-the-moment whodunit, where everyone in the vicinity is a suspect or a victim. Drop is jointly produced by Blumhouse and Platinum Dunes. Okay, Emmy nominee Megan Fahey, breakout star of White Lotus. Who was she in White Lotus? Was she one of the girls? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Plays Violet, a widowed mother. Oh, wait a minute. A widowed mother? So her husband has already died? Seems sus. Yeah. Yoshgali says it's too premisey, but I thought that about Carry On and I ended up enjoying that. For sure. It's a pretty clear, like, yeah, it's a premise, it's a gimmick, but okay. Just from the trailer, I'm getting some clues here. The idea, I think, could it be that her date is the one who's sending her the messages? Maybe. Could it be that if her husband died, was it all part of the plan? Was he murdered? Who can say? Okay. She is instructed to tell nobody and follow the instructions, or the hooded figures she sees on her home security cameras will kill Violet's young son and babysitting sister. Violet must do exactly as directed, or everyone she loves will die. Her unseen tormentor's final directive: kill Henry. Ooh, boy. Love it, love it, love it. All right, I'm in. I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it. Oh. I liked Skellner in It Ends With Us. He has the Riz. Nicholas Vargo says, Megan Fahey was just in Your Monster with Melissa Barrera. Steve says, nothing better happened to the kid's babysitter. She's the only one who could protect the kid. Ooh, Armada says the date is definitely setting her up. And then Eric is talking about phone booth. Jim Carrey could pull it off. Jim Carrey dropped out of phone booth. That is, he dropped out of phone booth. So he was not like fired from phone booth. Jim Carrey was a huge star at that point. And I don't remember why he left the project. Maybe he didn't like the script or something. But yeah, Colin Farrell was a last minute replacement for like it. I think they were someone in chat will probably know more than me, but I think they were very close to production on phone booth. And Colin Farrell got the part very quickly before they started rolling. I think Jim Carrey is a wonderful maybe that's what it was. Carrey has a thing about violence. He hated doing Kick-Ass too. Maybe was it the guns in the no, it couldn't have been because that's the premise. I don't know. I don't remember. But Drop comes out just in time for my birthday on April 11th. That's very cool. Okay. Should we do one more trailer? Should we do Opus? Oops. Let's do one more trailer before my earphones die. And we'll wrap it up. I actually haven't seen this trailer either. Just so you guys know, I try very hard not to watch. I try to watch it all fresh with you guys. Okay. Oh, Mirror Domain says Opus is a wild trailer. Let's see. Let's watch it. Okay, here we go.
There's a rumor flying around that Moretti's back. Like, Moretti?
After 30 years outside the public eye,
Oh my God,
pop
hilarious.
icon Moretti returns for an exclusive listening experience.
He's bringing you a gift.
This is
Tony,
for
no.
Ariel Ecton.
It'll be an absolute honor to spend this weekend with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, namaste. Everybody meet Ariel, some young blood from the magazine. This is Clara, the most hated sex symbol on TV.
Thank you. How's print media treating you?
Oh.
Congratulations, and welcome to this once-in-a-lifetime gathering.
Moretti requires that everyone be shaven. So, how's the lady garden?
Mr. Moretti, we'll be playing the greatest album of modern times. Future times, all the times, really. And there is more to come. So much more.
What is it that you guys do?
Would you like to see?
The crowd is upset. Upset that I'm not on stage.
Is this not alarming to you?
The back row's asleep. But the front row's ready to rage.
Are you sure you haven't been drinking with us?
Okay.
Oh, wow.
What the fuck is this?
Wow, fun. Okay, sorry. Okay, Opus trailer. Oh, that's funny. Is this like a musical The Menu? Hilarious. I get notes of blink twice with this trailer. Ooh, Brian Knight, I will be ready for the new Sinners trailer, that is for sure. The Menu, but with musician. Malkovich looks like he's having fun. Feels very Midsommar with Get Out meets Get Out for sure. This is what I thought, Brian, as I was watching. I had only read a very quick synopsis, and I was like, "Wow, what a really interesting, an interesting choice to make it sort of a Morrissey or like Sting type of figure instead of like somebody like that, because those reports are not hard to find. Wow, interesting. That's a great weird trailer. Wait a second. Now, did Opus have its premiere at Sundance already? Did that already happen? I did. So I had prepared like some Sundance stories for us, but I try not to. Opus 2024 or 5 review. Huh. I thought I saw that it was, oh, maybe it's playing at South by. Is that what it was? Opus 2025 film or premiere. Maybe I made that up. Maybe I made it all up. I guess I did. I thought I had seen that it was playing at a festival, but I guess I was wrong. I know, right? M. Santiago, she's everywhere. She is having a moment. So love it. I really like that trailer. That movie, though, I can almost guarantee you that Opus is going to be wildly divisive. If some people actually, if it lives up to its premise, I feel like it's gonna be. I feel like people are gonna have. I feel like people are gonna have thoughts. Okay, it's premiering tonight. Thank you, Nicholas. I was like, wait a minute. I thought when I was reading this article today that it was saying ahead of its Sundance premiere. So, okay, cool. Yes, premiering at Sundance tonight, according to Wikipedia. Awesome. I'm excited. That's a cool. Listen, if anything, what I'll say is all these horror movies are, or a lot of these horror movies from Neon or A24, even Platinum Dunes is, what did I just see? We watched the trailer the other day. What was it for? It was the guy, it was Platinum Dunes and what? New Platinum Dunes movie. Not Wolf Night. Okay, my brain is fried, but either way, um uh I think that there's a lot of really fun, weird horror stuff that's happening. Like for every, sort of whatever generic, every sort of generic trailer or like concept that we get, I think we're also getting like a really cool indie weird. I think weird is kind of just the underlying word. Um, let's see. Sam says, Love Brooklyn is the Sundance movie I've been keeping an eye on. I don't know what that one is. Let me look it up. Love Brooklyn. I was reading about Oh Hi today, and it was being described as misery but funny. Like it's like a rom-com but misery. And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of fun. I like that." But I try not to read the reviews too early. Oh, Andre Holland. I love him so much. I was just having a conversation with a friend um who had not seen The Nick, and she just watched it for the first time. Oh, because she was prepping to do an interview with Steven Soderbergh because of Presence, and I was talking about like, oh yeah, Chris Sullivan. That was the first time I saw Chris Sullivan was in The Nick, and I thought he was Irish. His accent was so good, and that was the first time I saw Andre Holland, and I just was like, gosh, he's so great. Three longtime Brooklynites navigate careers, love, loss, and friendship against the rapidly changing landscape of their beloved city. Drama from Rachel Holder. Nice. All right, y'all. Well, we did it. I think we did it. We had some laughs. We went on some tangents. M. Santiago says, for as much as people complain about there being no original movies, I feel like that's a problem that the horror genre has not had much of an issue with right now. For every unoriginal, there are 5 new. I totally agree. I totally agree. My only, like right now, when it comes to like the state of horror, there's always think pieces or articles that are being written, and yeah, I don't think originality is a problem in the least. My frustration is it's just like the same 8 people who make all the movies. And there's part of me that's just like, come on, y'all, like there are more of us. Could somebody please just let us make a movie? Anyway, this was super fun. Thank you everybody for being here. What a fun, silly chat. We're just chatting. And this was great. So I'll be back on Thursday with some more news and just chats. And then starting in February, we'll have our first guest. Believe my first guest is Dylan Guerra. So if any of you all watched the Fear HQ shows, it'll be really fun to have Dylan on and talk about all the things. And as a reminder, Patreon, you're welcome to join for free. There are different levels, and join the Discord if you are a Patreon member. You can find the link on Patreon, and I think that's it for now. Oh yeah, and you can always pick out. Feel free to pick out like articles or topics and either leave them in the Discord or post them on Patreon. That'll be great. Oh, thank you, Nicholas. That's so sweet. You're so sweet. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. It's having a lot of fun. I will say, yeah, there was a part that I auditioned for last week that was a recurring role on a TV show, and I was told that the role is still available, but the casting wants a different look than me, and I was very disappointed. But c'est la vie. What can you do? We're just gonna keep going. All right, y'all. Take care. Thank you so much. This was so fun. Follow, subscribe. I'm on Instagram. Oh, Rufus is coming by. Hey, bud. You want to come over and say hello? You want a little Rufus cameo? Oh my God, y'all. For those of you who are still here, I think we're getting it. Are we getting a Rufus cameo? We are. Look who it is. It's the little old man himself. He's like, I'm never coming close to this chair again. You just picked me up and made me go on YouTube, and I don't like it, Mom. But we did it. For those of you who stuck around through my ramblings, you got a little Rufus cameo. Thank you. Yeah, he is. He's the best boy. He's the best boy. He did. I know he's not as standoffish. I think, you know what I think it is, honestly. So the Fear HQ camera, and then I'll close this up. The Fear HQ camera that I had, for whatever reason, it doesn't really it doesn't work anymore. It does, but it won't connect to any of my devices. So I am currently using a little HD webcam. I will get a nicer camera eventually, but you know what I think it is? I think the little camera is small enough that he doesn't get freaked out by it. So he will so he's less adverse to to the screen. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for being here. From Rufus and I, we say good night. Isn't that right? He's like, Mom. Oh, he's like, Mom, we need to go on a bathroom break now. All right, everyone. Whoop. From Rufus and I, we say good night, everyone. Bye, y'all. Thanks so much.